maker friends, Mars here. Excuse my early morning froggy voice. I decided to share a little bit of my Spin and MakeALong progress with you. Just a short vlog today because I'm trying a new prep technique with some polwarth fiber that I have from All About Yarn. I'll insert a picture here of the original fiber braid that I got from Jenny. Hi, Jenny. And that way you can see how this fiber started out. Okay, lovelies, this is real life at my house. I don't even bother to tidy up for you all. That just means you are welcome guests here. What you're looking at is just my little prep area. I almost always have a podcast going or some kind of documentary, so that keeps me company. And then I have the finished rolags or faux lags here. That's what I'm going to be making, and I'm going to show you the process of making those. You might be familiar with these, you might not. Do a search for rolags either on Google or on YouTube, and you'll get some more information about them. Essentially, it's a way of preparing fiber into these small, very light little rolls or columns. Just a quick note, friends, that these are actually faux lags, not true rolags. True rolags are made from hand-carded fiber. Faux lags are what we call it when you create these from combed top. Wanted to make that clarification, even though I refer to them as rolags in this video. And this is fiber that has been made into this shape. You can also buy rolags already in this format, but I'm going to show you how I make some. I'm spinning this fiber on my Classy Squid Fiber Co. Very Classy spindle. And you can see that there are some different colors within this fiber, and I'm loving that. I actually did some color separation early on because I wanted somewhat of a gradient. So my first format of prep was that I took the braid, I split it down the middle, and then I started pulling off color sections, some with more of this pink and peach, going into the bright yellow, others that had mostly the pink, orange, and peach color with very little yellow, and then I also had some that were all yellow. My hope is that in the final yarn I'll have kind of 3 main sections of color with little blended areas in between. The first thing I'm going to do is just go through the process that I follow when making these rolags, and I'll do that just so you can see how I do it before I do a lot of talking and explanation. usual caveat that I am a beginning spinner and I'm also learning about different types of fiber prep. I want to give credit to Mina at the Knitting Expat, who showed her blending board and rolag and fiber bat prep in her vlog, and that inspired me to think about different ways that I can prep my spinning fiber and make it easier to spin. So the reason I like this format so far is that polwarth is a very long staple fiber. I'll show you an example. You can usually figure out the staple length of a fiber by just taking a length of it and spreading your hands apart, pulling on it, and wherever there's a natural break point without too much force, gives you some idea of the staple length. So if I took this now shorter length and tried to pull from either end of it, get a bit of a sense of how long this polwarth staple is. Now my Fleece and Fiber source book says it can run anywhere from 3 to 6 inches in length, which I found to be true. So it's a pretty long staple fiber. The reason that's important for rolags is you saw me breaking off a portion of the fiber before rolling onto my nastupinna. And what I'm doing is using that natural break point to determine kind of how thick this rolag is going to be. And once I've made it into this format, what I have is a pretty well pre-drafted section of that fiber that follows that staple length. So I shouldn't have too much trouble now spinning this. And I'll give you a quick demonstration. I can take fiber from one end of this and start to draft it out onto my spindle. And I have my colors coming together quite naturally. I have my drafting triangle here, very easily accessible. And you can see that it just very smoothly allows the fibers to glide past each other. And of course, if this were on my spindle, it would be incorporating the twist and becoming a single of yarn. So it's a very nice, soft, smooth prep for this fiber. So I'm going to talk a little bit about exactly what you saw me doing earlier in terms of preparing the fiber to be rolled into a rolag. As I mentioned before, I had already pulled off lengths of this fiber and I separated it out by colors. You might be working from a braid. This is combed top, and so you've got fibers that are already laying pretty well parallel to each other, and that makes it pretty easy. So if you have pencil roving or comb top, or even fibers that came in a bat, you can get somewhere to this similar starting point. And I'm learning, working with different fibers, that most of the time when you get commercially prepared comb top, what you have is kind of like a tube. And that tube is really just a rolled up, easily packaged version of the flat format that the fiber started in. So usually there is a pretty distinct line where that rolling process pressed the fibers together. So what you see me doing now is opening up the fiber along that naturally occurring line, but I'm not pulling it all the way apart. What I'm trying to do is some horizontal separation to spread the fibers out while still keeping them aligned parallel to each other. And I don't need to do that for the whole length. I really just want to start down one end. I kind of have an idea from understanding the staple length of polwarth that somewhere between 3 to 6 inches of this represents the staple length that I want for each rolag. So I'm opening it up along that line. See the difference here versus here now. Spreading this apart horizontally is really just introducing a bit of drafting. This is another form of kind of pre-drafting the fiber. It's introducing some separation. It's making it so that these fibers will more easily slip past each other, and better prep equals more consistent yarn in my experience. So I'm just taking the time to spread out wide some of this fiber. This little pointy tip at the end is fine. That came from how I tore it off the original braid. And actually, it's good to have almost a purposeful gathering because it makes it really easy to roll onto whatever you're going to use. Now, speaking of rolling, I'm using this nostipinna that was hand carved by an artist, Alan Berry. You can use any kind of long cylindrical shape, including jumbo knitting needles. I just have a little pen light that goes into this container, but the container itself can be used to roll. I find sort of a moderate thickness works really well. You don't want something super chunky, and you don't want something too fine like a knitting needle or a pencil. So I've been using my nostipinna because I just really like it. So I have an area that's been spread out horizontally. I start down here at the end. I just kind of flick the tips up onto the nostipinna to get it started. And I've seen videos recommend that you roll this once, so basically get one layer onto the fiber. But again, because I know this is a longer staple length, I'm going to roll it, grab hold of the rest of the fiber. I'm also holding down the rolag, and I'm just gonna pull very gently. You don't have to give it a lot of force. The fiber very naturally separates at the staple length point. And then I can just finish off by rolling my nostipinna right out to the end. And my rolag is ready to be removed. And I just gently pull it off because this is wood. It's very nice and smooth. There's no snags, but just carefully pull it off. And what I would do when I get ready to spin this is I would just pick the end that's, you know, fairly open and light, or I would pick the end with the color that I want to work with. Make sure you guys can see that. So you can really start from either end. And as I showed you before, you just attach this to the fiber that's already on your spindle, or get started if this is your first one. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm collecting mine in a Christmas cookie box, and then I can pick from there and spin, spin, spin. Let me know if you have questions below. I am very happy to share this with you all. I hope if you're participating in the Spin and Make Along, that you're finding some joy and learning new things like me. Thanks as always for being here, friends. Check the description box down below. I actually linked a video that really helped me through this process, and it might help you too. I'll see you next time. Mwah. Bye.